Welcome to another video. This is Value Tech Sense, where I show you how to get the best tech for less. And in this video, I am going to show you why the most recent VRR update for the PS5 is garbage. I mean, it is straight trash. Now, I just recently updated my PS5, and I am an owner of a Vizio 2020/2021 Vizio P Series Quantum X, and it is unusable with the PQX. All right, and it looks like it's unusable on the Vizio TVs. All right, now before anybody new here jumps to conclusions, I do have an LG CX in my den. It does work on the LG CX, all right, but I prefer gaming on my Vizio PQX, all right, for the same reason all these people are ready to ditch their OLEDs for QD OLEDs, all right, color volume and brightness. Games just look better on my QLED. All right, I did so many videos last year of why I prefer QLED over OLED, and it was all about brightness and colors. And all these people that's been living under the OLED rock for so many years that were blinded by this thing called blooming, now all of a sudden are all hyped up about color volume and brightness. Something that was so perfect last year is so, they just ready to ditch it this year. But I'll digress. All right, I'll leave that for another video. It's just funny to me that QLEDs and QD OLEDs are making for better comparisons than OLEDs and QD OLEDs. But anyway, this video is not about that. I will talk about that in another separate video. This video is about Sony and why this VRR update is so trash. All right, guys, we're going to jump straight into it. All right, now this is going to be the good, the bad, and the ugly. All right, this is going to be a three-part video. The good, the bad, and the ugly. And the ugliest part of all of this is definitely Sony. All right, definitely Sony. All right, now, what do y'all want first, the good news or the bad news? Well, let's start with the bad news. All right, let's start with the bad news. The bad news is this is unusable on the Vizio TVs. All right, it is completely unusable. Even in with VRR on at 48 to 60 hertz, it is a lot of ghosting. It is just unusable, and I advise you to just turn it off. Now, you can enjoy the higher frame rates. Even though the VRR is not working, the frame rates are unlocked on the game. So you have uncapped frame rates, so you are able to enjoy the higher frame rates on your Vizio TVs, as I will go ahead and demonstrate. All right, guys, we are on the PS5 and my P Series Quantum X. We're gonna go straight into the settings, go down to screen and video. All right, if I go to video output information, you will see that the VRR is supported between 48 and 60 hertz, and that is straight garbage. All right, not only is it garbage, but I mean, it's terrible. I mean, the ghosting is so severe that I recommend you leave this set to off. As you can see, I have it set to off here. But just to show you just how bad it is, I'm gonna set this to automatic. All right, and we're gonna jump into Miles Morales. All right, Miles Morales. Now, to show you just how bad the ghosting is, all right, what I want you to focus on, all right, I'm gonna zoom in on this. Even as Spider-Man is moving around on the screen, I can see ghosting, all right, no matter how slight the movement is. I'm just gonna zoom in here. I want you to pay attention to the right side of that cabinet. All right, as I pan to the left, you can see, pan to the left, you can see the edge of that cabinet light up. All right, if I pan to the left, you can see that cabinet light up. All right, and it does not matter. I mean, even the edge of that door right there, you can see it lighting up, all right? Doesn't matter how slight the movement is. That's how severe the ghosting is with VRR on this TV with the PS5, all right? Now, if you start to move faster, as you can see, that entire cabinet lights up, even that door. It is just terrible, guys. And I'm gonna slow this down, put it in slow motion, just so you can see how bad it is.
What the fuck? What the fuck? Stop playing! What the fuck? Stop playing! What the fuck is that?
So as you can see, that is straight garbage, and I suggest you leave this turned to off. So I'm gonna go back into the settings. All right, go back to screen and video, and variable refresh rate, I'm gonna set this to off. Now that I have this set to off, guys, I'm gonna go back into Miles Morales, and you will see that the ghosting is gone. All right, this game is locked at 60, and it works flawlessly. All right, guys, now that we've gotten that out of the way, leave variable refresh rate turned to off on the TV, guys. Now I'm going to tell you about this Spider-Man Miles Morales and these 100 frames that you're getting on the TV, guys. There's nothing wrong with your eyes. All right, what Sony did with Miles Morales is they uncapped the frame rates. That's all they did. All right, they unlocked the frame rates. So basically, you have uncapped frame rates and you're getting more frames. All right, and it doesn't matter if you have VRR set to on or off. If you set this to 120 hertz, you're going to be using it with uncapped frames. That's why everybody that's been playing this on the Vizio TVs, when they turn it to 120 hertz, they are getting a smoother experience. All right, that's because you're getting higher frames. Now, I game in 120 hertz on Call of Duty on this TV, and I know what 120 frames feel like. So it's not quite 120, but you are getting higher frames, whether variable refresh rate is set to on or not. All right, the advantage of having variable refresh rate is it is a smoother experience. You do get these sort of micro stutters. I'm not getting any screen tearing. All right, but I do have a solution to that as well to give you a better experience when you're gaming with this set to 120 hertz. All right, so one thing I want you to look at and pay attention to, all right, right now I have it set to 120 hertz. All right, if I go to picture, you will see that if I go to my input settings, full color 444 is set to off because full color 444 does not work at 120 frames. All right, I game on the PS5 at full color 444, which only works at 60 hertz. That's the way I play this game. But to uncap the frame rates, you will need to turn this off. All right, what I'm going to do, let's go into the settings on Miles Morales. All right, let's go into the settings. And you will see here under visuals, all right, go to settings, go to visuals. If you click down to 120 hertz display mode, it says, all right, when enable 120 hertz output is set appropriately in system settings, the 120 hertz refresh rate of a compatible display is used to reduce input latency and enable higher frame rates, which it does. All right, the frame rate target of the fidelity graphics mode is increased to 40 frames per second. If VRR is enabled in the system settings, frame rates will be further increased and vary based on gameplay. All right, and varies based on gameplay. All right, so with this turned on, all right, your fidelity mode will give you 40 frames per second and it will give you higher frame rates. All right, so let me just turn this off. All right, got it turned off. If I go up here to fidelity mode, guys, it says fidelity mode. This is a 30 frames per second mode with graphical features like ray tracing, enhanced lighting, and additional VFX. All right, so it is a better resolution, gives you better graphics in fidelity mode, but it only works at 30 frames. All right, only works at 30 frames. If you turn on 120 hertz mode, if you turn that on, you will get 40 frames. All right, just to show you guys really quickly before we do this, and I want you to try this at home so you can see that you are getting increased frames, guys. All right, I've been playing in 120 hertz for a long. I know what 60 frames feels like, and I know when I'm getting more frames. So everybody, if you feel like you're getting more, you are getting more frames, guys. And I'm going to show you how to prove it to yourself that this does work, even though you're not getting the variable refresh rate. All right, so if I go to the Vizio settings and I have the 120 hertz mode set to off, if I go to picture, you will see that on my setup, full color 444 is set to on, because this is the way I play. And when I turn on 120 hertz mode, it's disabled because it is running at 120 hertz. The same way that it does in Call of Duty and all the other games that accepts the 120 hertz signal, guys. All right, so just to show you how this works, guys, the first thing I want you to do is change this to fidelity mode with 120 hertz display mode set to off. All right, that's what I want you to do. Changing the setting will require restarting the last checkpoint. Yes. All right, change this to fidelity mode. Now, in fidelity mode, all right, even just sitting here, you can look at the snow, all the little stuff. It is so slow. It is so choppy, guys. The whole experience is just choppy. All right. And what I want you to do is just swing around, guys. That's all I want you to do. All right. Find your point on the map where you can swing. All right. Just swing, turn around, and just start swinging. All right. And you will see just how slow and choppy this is at 30 frames. All right, you have to do this to see this. Put this on 60 hertz mode, put it in fidelity, and just look at how choppy, all right, and how just look at how it looks. Look at how juddery and stuttery the windows are. Just look at everything in 30 hertz refresh mode. And then I want you to pause it. And once you pause it, go to settings, right? Go down to visual, leave it in fidelity mode, and switch this to 120 hertz mode. Switch it to 120 hertz mode. Once you switch this to 120 hertz mode, you're going to be getting 40 frames per second. All right? Come right out of it, go right back into swinging, and you will see how much faster and how much smoother it is. Because even though you guys are not getting variable refresh rate, you are getting 40 frames per second. If you don't believe me, try it yourself. Go in there, turn on the 120 hertz mode. All right, swing around, pause it, go into settings, go down to visuals, and turn 120 hertz mode back to off. So it'll go back to 30 FPS and start back swinging, and look at how much slower, how much more stuttery it is. Because even though you're not getting variable refresh rate, guys, you are getting the extra frames. All right, guys, now that we have done that in fidelity mode, what I would like you to do is go down to settings. All right, go into the settings, and we're going to go to visuals, and we're going to switch it from fidelity to performance ray tracing. All right, just go ahead and turn that on. We're going to restart the checkpoint. Now you will see that we are in the performance ray tracing mode. All right, what I want you to do is start swinging around just like we did before, and you're going to instantly see just how smooth 60 FPS is. Especially after swinging around in 30 and 40 FPS. All right, you will see just how smooth 60 FPS is, guys. All right, and now that we're in 60 FPS, just like in fidelity mode, all right, what I want you to do after swinging around in 60 FPS mode, guys, just pause it. So all you got to do is pause it, go down to settings, go down to visuals, and change this to 120 hertz. Change it to 120 hertz, and you will see that it is a lot faster, guys. All right. Now, 60 FPS on this TV is locked. It is locked, so you will see these little micro stutters. All right, they're not always there, but you will see them from time to time because the frame rate is unlocked and variable refresh rate does not work on this TV, but you are indeed getting more frames. What I would suggest you guys do is start a brand new campaign, guys. I'm talking about start it from the beginning. Start a brand new campaign. Play that first little mission with Rhino and all that stuff. Do that first little boss match. Play this entire first beginning of this game with 120 FPS unlocked, and you will see and know that you are getting a smoother experience. All right. Now, if I go into my settings, you will see that if I go to advanced picture and I go down to motion control, I have clear action set to on. Now this will clean up a little bit of that stuttering that you see because the black frame insertion will start to work. But if that little flicker, I mean, you could barely see flickering when you turn this on, but if you turn it on, it'll make it just a tad bit smoother, but I generally just leave this off anyway. But if you turn it on, the screen does not dim at all. All right. It does not dim at all, but we're in 120 hertz mode, guys. And just moving around, just swinging around, you can definitely feel how faster it is. You can definitely feel that the frames have been unlocked, guys. All you gotta do is pause it. All right. Go down to settings. Go to visuals. Turn this off. Swing around at a locked 60 FPS. All right. Swing around at a locked 60. Look at the buildings. Look at the movement. All right. It is smooth. A lot smoother than 30 and 40 FPS. And it is a locked 60. So it is smooth. It's buttery. This is the way I play this game with full color 444 set to on. But if you pause it, all right, just pause the game. Go down to settings. All right. Go to visuals, turn on 120 hertz, all right, go right back into it and start swinging. You will see that it is different. It is definitely different and it's not slower. It's actually faster, guys. All right, so no VRR, but you are getting unlocked frames. So that's basically the bad news with this TV and the variable refresh rate. With the PS5, all right, variable refresh rate is unusable and there's no excuse for it. I mean, I'm pretty sure Vizio will get this patched before Sony will, and we're going to get into that, all right? Now that we've gotten the bad news out of the way, let's get into the good news. Okay, now let's get to the good news, all right? Let's get into the good news. The good news is that variable refresh rates, 120 hertz, all right, works perfectly on the Xbox Series X with my Vizio P-Series Quantum X. All right, everything works as it should. Low frame rate compensation, everything works on the Xbox Series X, which leads me to believe that this is more of a Sony problem than a Vizio problem. All right, because I bought my Vizio PQX, I would say, I think it was around February of last year. All right. Around February of last year, I bought my Vizio P-Series Quantum X. And on the original firmware that was on the TV, even though variable refresh rates did work at 120 hertz, all right, there was slight ghosting in some games. All right, it wasn't as severe as it is on the PS5, but it was there, but it wasn't there in every single game. But since then, Vizio has been releasing a series of firmware updates to address the issues. All right, and a lot of that has improved, as I will show you in a minute when I switch back over to the TV. All right, 4K 120 hertz. All right, variable refresh rate in full color 444 works on the Xbox Series X. So why does it not work on the PS5? Why does it not work on the PS5? And that's where we get into the ugly news. All right, we're going to get into the ugly news because the fact of the matter is Sony has been the worst when it comes to gamers. They have been the absolute worst to their customers. All right. The Sony PlayStation 5 came out at the same time the Xbox Series X came out, but the Xbox Series X had variable refresh rate working at launch. And it took them all of this time to get this variable refresh rate update. It took all this time for them to finally get it in their system. And it is the most basic, generic variable refresh rate that you can have. I mean, it doesn't even work with all the games. You got to wait for patches so they can unlock the frame rates so it can work with games. When on the Xbox Series X, it just works on all the games. And somehow people got in their mind that this is more of the TV's problem than Sony's problem. Y'all must have forgot that Sony is the same company that brought out the Sony 900H, right? Which was supposed to be the TV for the PS5, right? The only 2.1 TV that they brought out at the time. And come to find out, it didn't even run at 4K 120. It was 120, but it was not 4K. All right. Resolution drops. Fake 2.1 TV. Y'all must have forgot. Y'all just got amnesia about Sony, right? Not only that, it took them almost 2 years to put variable refresh rate in their TVs. And when they finally put it in their TVs, it was straight ass. Garbage. Trash. No local dimming. It was just terrible. On the 900H, the variable refresh rate gave you increased input lag, even at 120 hertz. And y'all just forgot, right? Y'all forgot about all of that. Sony just gets a pass. You got all these people on YouTube steady apologizing for Sony instead of calling them out on their BS. All right? And for all of y'all that got amnesia about Sony, let's just do a recap.
With HDMI 2.1 and a built-in ATSC 3.0 tuner, the new Sony X900H is definitely a next-gen entertainment TV. My name is Derek, I'm from Sony, and I want to walk you through what a couple of those features are and how they might benefit you to help determine if this is going to be your next-gen TV. First off, HDMI 2.1, which has been a huge buzzword in the industry this year. So what are you going to get out of HDMI 2.1 on the X900H? Gamers, this is going to be for you. First of all, you'll have VRR, or variable refresh rate. Variable refresh rate will allow the TV to match the outgoing frame rate from your next-gen gaming console or high-end PC. What that'll do for you is it'll help minimize stuttering and help eliminate tearing, giving you a much smoother gaming experience. Another great feature is ALLM, or auto low latency mode. When the X900 detects an incoming gaming signal, it will automatically adjust to minimize your input lag, giving you faster response, giving you an edge over your opponents. With HDMI 2.1 and a built-in ATSC 3.0 tuner, the new Sony X900H is definitely a next-gen entertainment TV.
I've been seeing videos lately on the Sony X900H television and saying that there is no blur at 4K 120 Hz, and I want to make this video to provide proof that it does blur out the image, degrades the image quality, however you want to phrase it. It does do something.
I actually had the also the 900H, and it was a really good picture, but I noticed that in game mode, the picture quality dropped. I don't know if you guys had that experience. The picture quality sort of dropped, and when I did my comparison against the Samsung, the QN85A, I was like, wow, I never realized how much, game mode will, affect the quality. When I saw the picture on the Samsung, even though, it's an IPS or ADS or something, kind of a panel that TV has, but the picture quality was just like sort of blurry on the Sony.
In this video, we're going to talk about the latest firmware of 6.0414 on the Sony XH90, also known as the Bravia X900H in the USA, and whether this firmware has improved the 4K 120Hz blurriness. So I set the console on your left to output 4K 60Hz by selecting prioritized resolution in the DiRT5 load screen, and on the right-sided television I left it at prioritized high frame rate. So if I went into the video output information screen on the TV on your left, you can see that it is running at 4K 60Hz in full RGB signal. And when I went back into the game, the increase in resolution and sharpness on the 4K 60Hz set on the TV on the left is immediately apparent. But that is not because of any additional increase in resolution from the television itself. It is actually because when you ask the Sony PS5 console to output 120Hz, at least as far as this game is concerned, the game had to downgrade the texture and also the resolution in the game itself, so it doesn't look as crisp. There's more aliasing artifact, it doesn't look as sharp. And also at 4K 60Hz, for some reason, there are crowds in the cutscenes, probably because, the processor doesn't need to spend so much processing trying to output high frame rate, so they can actually spend more processing power generating these individual figures in the crowd. So that is another interesting tidbit that I found with 4K 60 versus 4K 120 from DiRT5 from the Sony PS5. Clearly, I think, in order to run at 120Hz, the in-game resolution has to be downgraded so much that, it looked visibly inferior to the 4K 60Hz version. So I'm not entirely sure whether that can be salvaged by no blurriness on the XH90. It's really debatable because you're losing so much resolution at the source anyway. So this is not an excuse to say that, Sony is not at fault, for this 4K 120Hz blurriness. I think, they have clearly a hardware problem. That is my opinion anyway. And the sooner you accept it, I think, it is easier for you to move on. I think, if you keep thinking that Sony will be able to fix this, then I think you'll be, waiting maybe a long time, maybe never.
I'll start with Sony because A, it's complicated, and B, Sony makes the PlayStation, which leads us right back to point A, it's complicated. Why is it complicated? Well, one might think that because Sony makes the PlayStation, that the company of the same name would also make a TV that maximizes the PlayStation's potential. Seems reasonable, right? But what I think most folks don't know is that Sony PlayStation is a very different entity than Sony TV. It's a corporate thing. Anyway, Sony is not out to make the most cutting-edge gaming TV, at least not this year.
Stop the FOMO, Sony fans. Once again, it looks like they are pushing back the VRR ALLM update to winter 2021. Ugh, I know what you're saying. Wait a minute, is this an official statement from Sony? And once again, am I creating clickbait? Well, it doesn't get more official than the Sony support video. Let's get into yet another Sony messaging, confusion messaging, miscommunication, or is it real? Let's check out what Sony support has to say themselves. Check out the video.
A good place for us to start is going to be what all the Bravia XR models have in common. And the first thing that comes to my mind is next-gen gaming compatibility.
Stop the cap. Stop the cap right now. Stop the cap. No bullshit.
This year, all of our Bravia XR models are equipped with HDMI 2.1. That means the TV can provide you VRR, ALLM, and then also 4K 120 support.
So on March 12th, Sony, in its Sony support channel, was touting HDMI 2.1, gaming compatibility, VRR, ALLM, and as you saw on the bottom of that video, what did it say? Update, future update, winter 2021.
Did you see FOMO's stream earlier? But
Today?
Yes, today. The Sony X900H and its VRR situation.
Oh, nope. I'm not caught up. I am not caught up.
So pretty much they had to pull the update because it was breaking local dimming.
That makes sense. I mean, so the TCL doesn't work with local dimming and VRR. So, and the Hisense didn't work with local dimming and VRR. And Samsung struggled with it for a while, and now it finally works. But that makes sense because it seems like they can't get those two things to play nice together. So, yeah. And then to your point with the VRR, and also when they did that with Sony, kind of misleading people a little bit on what they're doing with their 4K 120 hertz. It's a shame, you know. I don't get it.
Yep. Yeah. So this is a tweet from Vincent Teo of HDTV Test, and you know, he is also pointing out the half resolution issues, and it's pretty much anyone with a MediaTek HDMI chipset that doesn't have an add-on processor like the Sony X90J, 95J, 80J, and A90J. If they don't have that, then it's cutting the resolution in half. So that means Panasonic, Hisense, TCL, all of them are affected by this. And this is the second year that it's happening. I can see the first year it being a mistake gets, you know, they should have apologized, done something about it. They didn't. And now they're implementing it again into new TVs like Sony with the X85J saying it's 4K 120 when it's the same situation as the 900H last year. That's just, to me, that's inexcusable to do it twice in a row. And the first time really shouldn't have happened either. Like, it should have been tested.
Right.
And that's another thing is sometimes we envision the promised feature to be better than it is. I mean, when people say, I want VRR, they keep on forgetting. VRR could be an excellent implementation, and it could be a bad one. Remember, Samsung had VRR for the last 2 years, but it wasn't working very well. People kept it off. This year was the first year that Samsung's VRR was actually pretty good, right? And it took them 2 generations to get VRR correct. And so this is Sony trying to do their VRR. And if they don't get it right, this is what it is. It's their first generation. People shouldn't be surprised and expect perfection because VRR is first a very difficult technology, right? You're coordinating a refresh rate of your TV with the content, with the game, and with the frame rate. That's not easy to do.
So I was using this CR100 meter to measure the peak brightness of the Sony X900H in VRR mode, and as part of the process, I had to sync up its read frequency to the refresh rate of the television, and I was only getting a reading of 60Hz, even though the TV has a 120Hz panel, strongly suggesting that in VRR mode, the screen refresh rate was only 60Hz, not 120Hz on the Sony X900H. To investigate further, I altered the test pattern containing these 4 slides that switched from one to the next at 120 frames per second, and then filmed the results using a slow motion camera at 1000 frames per second. Comparing the slow-mo footage side by side, you can see that when VRR mode was disabled, the screen was refreshing twice as fast as when VRR mode was engaged on the X900H. And if I pause the slow-mo capture at roughly the same time here, you can see more residual text in VRR mode, which was refreshing at 60Hz, whereas the 120Hz refresh rate outside of VRR mode allowed the TV to clear away each slide in a quicker manner, so there's less residual image visible. This is the reason why when you engage VRR mode on the Sony X900H or XH90, you would see more motion blurring and smearing, because the LCD screen would only be refreshing at 60Hz, even if you send the TV a 120 frames per second video signal. And this unfortunately leads us to the second downside of using VRR mode on the Sony X900H, higher input lag. When you enable VRR mode on the Sony X900H, this will force you into game mode with many picture settings disabled. However, because of the 60Hz refresh rate in VRR mode, input lag would go up. At 60 FPS, input lag measured 31 milliseconds in VRR mode, compared to 15 milliseconds in regular game mode without VRR. At 120 FPS, input lag measured 14 milliseconds in VRR mode and only 6.5 milliseconds without VRR in game mode. True story. Before measuring these figures, I was wondering why I kept mistiming my braking in VRR mode on the X900H. Now I know. Engaging VRR mode would also disable local dimming on the Sony XH90 or X900H. Now, some owners may think that local dimming is still active, since the picture setting still says medium. But that's because the TV is just displaying the previous local dimming setting before it's disabled and grayed out. If you don't believe me, just switch local dimming to another value in regular game mode without VRR, and then when you engage VRR mode, the same local dimming label will be carried over but grayed out, indicating that local dimming is disabled and inactive, which brings us to downside number 3. Grayish blacks in VRR mode, especially in HDR where backlight has to go up to maximum to achieve the highest peak brightness that the television is capable of. The brighter black floor will affect every single element on screen, resulting in a washed out presentation. Furthermore, you may notice that in VRR mode, the outer portions of the screen would look visibly brighter than the center, which is caused by the narrow viewing angle of the VA-type LCD panel implemented on the Sony X900H. Outside of VRR mode, local dimming could be engaged, and Sony probably applied some backlight compensation too, so the brightness distribution was more even across the entire screen. The combination of local dimming and extended dynamic range is also necessary to concentrate the backlight to achieve the highest peak brightness for HDR presentation. So unsurprisingly, once local dimming was disabled in VRR mode, peak brightness measured lower than outside of VRR mode, with a corresponding drop in the PQ EOTF tracking too, meaning that HDR games would appear dimmer and duller than they should be.
Let's talk about the washed out picture quality, because a couple of commenters here are saying, wait, how can Hisense or TCL have VRR and Sony only now rolling it out? And what they fail to understand is I have the Hisense, I have the TCL. When I turn on VRR, the image quality suffers. And Sony is trying not for it to suffer.
Cap.
It doesn't mean it don't successfully do it, because it's hard. If you have either the U7G, U8G, or the TCL, the new one, the R646, yes, they have VRR. But if you turn on the VRR, your local dimming algorithm drops a noticeable notch in terms of contrast ratios, deep blacks. And I accept it. I go, this is what it is, right? So at worst, Sony could only do as well as the other brands. At best, maybe they do a little bit better. On top is VRR. On the bottom, VRR is off. It's in its regular enhanced mode. It's a bit cooler on top. Obviously, they're both in game mode. So there's a slight color science difference between VRR on and off for whatever reason, right? But right in some of the scenes, I noticed, just talk about the X95J, would I have VRR on? In this game, definitely. I think the stuttering is a bit distracting, and the drop in the picture quality isn't as horrible as many had feared.
Cap.
On top, slightly lifted colors. I guess you could describe it as slightly washed out. The bottom, it's a bit darker. Now, some might say that this is maybe crushed black. So the big difference is the cape. With VRR off, the cape is a bit blacker. So the blacks are blacker, are deeper, but it doesn't take away from the game, in my opinion. Although, slightly better on the bottom. But overall, I would totally game with VRR on, and I wouldn't think twice, right? I think it looks pretty good with VRR on.
You serious?
But that's enough of my comments on the image quality. What are your thoughts on that, guys?
If I'm looking at those images, I would not want to play on the top one.
You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and
because
really, too watched out for you?
It's not just too watched out, but the bottom image, the top image just looks like it's blooming.
Yeah.
So so without the local dimming, if it's gonna bloom like that, then when you get into an all black area, it's gonna be very distracting. Then you add in a HUD. This game doesn't have many HUDs at the bottom.
Right.
It could be a game changer.
Yeah. Definitely, it appears slightly washed out on top. Overall, just Elden Ring as a game. I thought that world was pretty well designed. I mean, the graphics are pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's a
And
taxing title too. It's a hard game to run.
yeah, definitely. I'm very curious to see, is this exclusive to Xbox? Is the PS5 going to get it?
It's on PS5 and PC as well. And what's actually interesting is if you play on PS5, but you play the PS4 version of it with backwards compatibility, then it is like a locked 60 FPS. It just doesn't look as good.
Ah, got it. And maybe on the PS5, it may look even better on the Sony's, because you know how the Sony has that contrast. Oh, and that's the setting that I prefer with the VRR on. You have to put contrast enhance on high. Otherwise, it's even more lifted. So I definitely left it on contrast enhanced high. If you're doing this on X95J, I think on the A90J, it looks great regardless of what you do. But the X95J, definitely contrast enhancer has to be on high to bring some of that contrast back. But I can't wait to see how the PS5.
Which is crazy because you're saying you have to do contrast enhancer to bring it back to normal. In a way. Do you know what I mean?
Well, not even normal. It's to alleviate the lifted, some of that washed out. Yeah. With contrast enhanced on anything but high, it's just not, it's a bit worse.
Okay.
Yeah, so also, since it's disabling local dimming, you're going to lose brightness as well. So, you know, the X95J is around 1,000 nits peak in HDR. So with that local dimming off, I would have to go back and look at my measurements. But, I mean, it's probably like 500 or 600 nits or whatever. So it's a pretty big drop.
Yeah, that's another thing to consider as well. And if it gets, well, without local dimming and you take it bright, then it becomes even more lift and it gets all bad. But I think overall, though, this is an issue with any LCD TV, right, Brian? I mean, this is why we want to game on the LG OLEDs. And now it's possible to game on the Sony OLEDs. I mean, let's take the X95J out of the equation. Like all LCD TVs, it's a compromise. If you're going to game on, now I will have a head-to-head with the Samsung. At some point, you guys can see the difference to see if Samsung does it any better. But the reality is that with an LCD TV, it's unavoidable. They're going to shut down most of that local flow rate local dimming, if not all of it. Whereas OLED, it looks phenomenal now on the Sony. I mean, is there a case to be made to get an LCD TV for gaming at this point?
I mean, that's unfortunate because you already compromised the contrast ratio before this. With blooming, lack of zones, the algorithm on newer LEDs, and now you're going to compromise it one step further. And then no. I mean, unfortunately, if you end up with the specular highlights, even if they get compromised, if it's washed out without the contrast ratio, it's going to lose its impact. So you don't have the faster pixel response, you don't have the blacks, you don't have the contrast ratio. I wouldn't see any advantage at all to playing an LED, unfortunately.
Sure, it won't get as bright as those just watching movies, but way better contrast than a regular LCD TV. You saw it, right? What's the point of getting a Samsung QN98 or QN90B or X95J? And yes, I think this will happen to the X95K backlight master drive as well. What's the point of getting those LCD TVs super bright when the blacks also get super lifted, and then essentially your colors are washed out? Go with the infinite contrast of OLED with this year's LG OLED EX panels.
So y'all forgot about all that, huh? Right? Everybody just got amnesia all of a sudden, right? How trash Sony's been since this whole gaming thing started. And now that they've came out with this little VRR update for the PS5, I'm supposed to get all hyped up. When it's the most basic garbage VRR they could have ever implemented after all this time. And Xbox Series X, Microsoft, what did they do, right? From launch, AMD FreeSync Premium Pro technologies, not no generic HDMI VRR that only works on supported games. I mean, what is that, Sony? Right? let's switch over to the Xbox Series X and the PQX just so I can show you how variable refresh rate is supposed to work. Alright guys, we're on the Xbox Series X and the 2020/2021 Vizio P-Series Quantum X. Alright, we want to get straight into it. Alright, let's go to settings. Let's go to settings, go to TV and display options. You will see I have resolution on 4K UHD and the refresh rate is on 120 Hertz. Alright, let's go over to video modes. You'll see I have everything checked off except allow YCC 422. Alright, YCC 422, I have that unchecked because I play the Xbox in full color 444. Alright, allow variable refresh rates, HDR10, Dolby Vision gaming, all of this stuff works, guys. I have it all checked off. Alright, so let's go over to Elden Ring, right? Let's go over to Elden Ring, alright? This is the same part that FOMO was on in his stream, alright? The same part where they was talking about the performance on the PS5 and how they had to, the performance was better using backwards compatibility PS4 version.
What's actually interesting is if you play on PS5, but you play the PS4 version of it with backwards compatibility, then it is like a locked 60 FPS. It just doesn't look as good.
So as we said in that article, there's essentially two options for those looking for stable frame rates, right? There's playing the PS4 Pro version on a PS5,
right?
Which is it's a weird thing to recommend, but that is an option. That's a very stable 60 frames per second, and we'll talk more about what you actually lose with that one later. And then the other option is specifically if you're playing on Xbox and you have a VRR capable display, then you can enjoy much more fluid performance without judder. Even though the actual frame rate is still what it is, it doesn't feel bad, essentially. VRR saves the day. Problem is, of course, in that case, you need a display that's capable of it. And because I have such a display with the LG CX OLED, I ended up personally going for the Xbox version, as I suggested on Twitter.
Smooth and buttery, all right? That's because the VRR works flawlessly on the Xbox Series X, all right? Didn't have to wait on no patch. Didn't have to wait for them to unlock frame rates. It just works, guys, all right? No stuttering, no screen tearing, nothing, all right? It just works. All right, I just started playing this game. It took me about 30-40 minutes to build my character, and he is sick. All right, that's Bambada right there. All right, Bambada. 1984, Conan the Destroyer. All right, that's who that is. That was the inspiration behind my character. But anyway, let me grab my Vizio remote, all right, so I can show you guys. All right, let's go to picture. Let's go down here to input picture settings. You will see that I have full color 444 set to on. So I am gaming in this game. Full color 444 HDR 4K 120 Hertz with variable refresh rates on the Xbox Series X and the Vizio P-Series Quantum X with no problem. And not to mention, if I go to advanced picture, active full array works. All right, here's the local dimming. I have high, medium, low, and off. Fully functioning local dimming with variable refresh rate, full color 444, 4K 120 Hertz. And none of those other TVs could figure this out. None of those other TV companies could figure this out, and Vizio don't get no credit. None, right? You got all these people on YouTube supposed to be so-called journalists, you know, out there informing people about TVs. I don't care what kind of hate you got for Vizio. Vizio's the only TV that got this figured out, and I'm the only one talking about it. And I'm going to continue to talk about it. So everybody that keep asking me why I don't review other TVs, I mean, that's what you got everybody else for. And I chose the right TV. So everybody that I told, you know, if you bought this TV on the strength of my videos, and I told you, you got the right TV, G. Even in 2022, because nobody else could figure this out. And we got it figured out. You're definitely getting a unique experience. All right? Now, if I go in here and turn local dimming off, look how dim the picture got. Look how dim the picture got, guys. Right? In that stream, they were saying that the X95J hits what? 1,000 nits peak brightness in HDR, where the PQX hits 2,000 nits peak brightness in HDR. With a working local dimming, all right? I'm actually gonna turn this off. Let me turn this off and try to brighten the camera a bit, guys. Just so you can see how washed out this is, all right? Just so you can see how washed out this is. Now I'm increasing the shutter speed, so what you're watching as moving very, very slow is just, I had to increase the shutter speed just to show you how washed out this is, guys. And that's what it looks like. This is what FOMO was talking about was playable in that stream. Who in the hell want to play games like this, man? And shout out to Whisper Status for calling him out on that. Because FOMO is not a gamer, man. He talks about games, but he don't game. All right? Whisper Status actually makes videos just gaming. He's an actual gamer. I would not be taking gaming advice from FOMO, especially if he's telling you to play like this. It's not bright. It's washed out. No contrast. It looks terrible. All right? It looks terrible, guys. I'm going to go in here. Let's go back to picture. Let's go back to advanced. Active full array on. Active full array off. Active full array on. Active full array off. We got low, medium, high, off. Low, medium, high, off. All right, guys, let's talk about LFC. All right, let's talk about LFC, low frame rate compensation. All right, because I play a lot of 30 FPS games. Fight Night Champion is one of my favorite. I'm a big boxing fan, guys. I cannot wait till ESBC boxing comes out, the new boxing game. I'm definitely going to be doing videos on it when it comes out. But this is Fight Night Champion, all right? Fight Night Champion, one of my favorite games to play on the Xbox Series X. Okay, this game came out in 2011, all right? 2011. It is a 30 FPS game, guys. 30 FPS, all right? So, on your Vizio P Series Quantum X, you have a variable refresh rate range, right? Between 48 hertz and 120 hertz, all right? That's your variable refresh rate range. So anytime you're playing a game and the frames are in between 48 hertz and 120 hertz, your variable refresh rate will kick in, guys. All right. Now, if you're playing a game and the frame rate is lower than 48, it's lower than your variable refresh rate range, that's when LFC kicks in, guys. And it works like a charm on this TV, guys. All right. Now, what you're watching, I am recording in 60 FPS, but this is a 30 FPS game, guys. And look how smooth it is. All right. You're getting a smooth 30 FPS gaming experience, guys. Just look at it. I'm just going to let it play out. This is 30 FPS, guys, being recorded in 60 FPS. So you're actually seeing exactly what I'm seeing, because it fits right into the framework of the frames that I'm recording in. All right, 30 times 2 is 60. Look at how smooth this is, and this is low frame rate compensation, guys. All right, this is outside of the VRR range, so that's when LFC kicks in. And Xbox has had this since day one. The Vizio PQX supports this. And y'all want to make me feel like the Sony issue is more of a Vizio problem than a Sony problem? Nah, G. Vizio get this fixed way before Sony will. Way before Sony will. All right, I'm just going to start the matchup just so you can see how smooth this is. And I play this game so much, guys. I play it so much. This is one of my favorite games. But I'm just showing you just how smooth this is. All right, look at the motion. Woo! Counter. Counter. Yo, if you got Fight Night Champion, holla at me. Get bodied. Because this is what I play, guys. this is what I play. And this is 30 FPS. If you're watching it, you're saying, man, that looks clean. That's because of LFC, guys. That's because of LFC. And I'm playing in full color 444. All right? Full color 444 with LFC. There's no ghosting or anything, guys. All right? All of that has been fixed. Woo! Let me get this knockout real quick. I know the video's been long enough. I just want to drop them one time. But anyway, I'm about to end the video soon, guys. I think the videos went on long enough. I really don't care about how long I make these videos. All right? It's more about giving y'all the information. You know what I mean? Everybody that's been hitting me up in the comment section about this whole PS5 thing, I wanted to make sure that I got this information out to you guys. So you would know you have nothing to worry about, G. All right, there's no way that this works flawlessly on the Xbox and then it don't work like it should on the PlayStation, and then, you know, some kind of way it's a Vizio problem. Nah, G, that's a Sony problem. And like I said, the only thing Sony has to do to fix this for the Xbox, I mean literally, the only thing they have to do is add FreeSync support. That's all they got to do, G. You know, Sony wants to be the brand, right? They want to be the brand that only sells their TVs to their console, right? That's their whole market speech. You know, the best TV for the PS5 is a Sony, but the Sony got the least amount of features for gamers. All right, all these other brands have been having variable refresh rates in their TVs since launch, and Sony is the one that's lagging behind. I ain't trying to hear it, G. I am not trying to hear it. But anyway, guys, I'm going to go ahead and switch back over to the computer, man, so we can end this video with some final thoughts and some final notes for y'all to think about. All right? But all of this stuff works. All right? If you got this Vizio TV, if you have a Vizio TV, do you a straight. I would not be worried about it. All right? This update just came out, and it took them this long to bring it out. So of course they got to do improvements to it. They got to do this and that. But on the Xbox, it doesn't matter what game you play, it just works. And that's what the PlayStation needs to be. And all they got to do to get this to work is add FreeSync support. All right, guys, we're going to get into some final thoughts. All right. But basically, man, Sony is trash. All right. Straight garbage. And I don't care what anybody out here is trying to tell you about this firmware update, all right? I spent $500 on my PS5 just like everybody else, all right? See, all of y'all is hyped up about it. I'm upset about it, all right? I'm upset about it, all right? And the reason that you guys are not upset because you got all these people on YouTube hyping Sony up instead of putting a foot in their ass. See what I'm saying? I have absolutely no FOMO from buying a Sony TV, period. Zero, zilch, none at all. All right. I got the right TV. Everybody looking at me like I'm crazy because I promote Vizio TVs. Well, Vizio is the only TV that delivered on the promise. And the only thing Sony's been doing is not delivering. And when they deliver, it's subpar. All right. That's how I feel about Sony. Vizio's been dropping firmware updates on my 2019 M series. I'm getting firmware updates on that. And people out here been waiting on firmware updates for these Sony products for over 2 years. Come on, G. And the only thing that they had to do, all right, is add FreeSync support. All right. You know the Sony PS5 also has an AMD chip in it. So why don't they get licensed to use AMD FreeSync over HDMI 2.1? Why not? You know why? Because they want their TV to be the only TV or the best TV for the PS5, and it's just not. All right? It's just not. Let me drop a pill on y'all real quick. This is AMD's website, guys. All right? This is AMD's website. Okay, this basic FreeSync right here is tear-free low latency. All right, tear-free low latency up to 60 hertz, guys. But when you get the FreeSync Premium, this is what the Vizio TV has, and the FreeSync Premium Pro, this is what the Samsung TVs have, and the Xbox Series X supports all of this. All right. You get at least 120 hertz refresh rate at a minimum of full HD resolution, support for low frame rate compensation, and low latency. You get all of this, right, with AMD FreeSync Premium. When you use variable refresh rate, it's supposed to improve your experience, not make it worse. All right. So answer me this, right? And you can look this stuff up yourself, guys. You can look this stuff up yourself. All right. How come Sony is the only TV company without AMD support, even though their PS5 has an AMD chip in it? Why is that? Now, this is on AMD's website, guys. This is on AMD's website, FreeSync TVs. All right? FreeSync TVs. You can look this stuff up, man. Check this out. Let me put in Samsung. Put in Samsung. These are all, they're going to show you every TV that support FreeSync. All right? FreeSync Premium Pro, Premium, Pro. All right? Samsung. Let's go with LG. LG, FreeSync Premium. All right? FreeSync Premium. Let's go over to, of course, Vizio. You know we got it, right? Vizio, FreeSync Premium, FreeSync. All right? TCL. TCL supports FreeSync Premium. All right? They just got in the game. All right? And they don't have as many TVs as the other brands, but they support FreeSync Premium. Let's go with Hisense. Hisense, FreeSync Premium. All right? They just started doing this on their last year's models. FreeSync Premium. All right, let's go to Panasonic overseas, right? Panasonic. FreeSync Premium in the Panasonic TVs. That's every TV brand, guys. So explain to me why when I put in Sony, there's no support. There's no support. Even though the PS5 got an AMD chip in it. Because Sony wants to make it like, oh, our TV is the best TV for the PS5. So you're gonna limit the features on the PS5 just so it could fit with your TV. Right? Now the Xbox Series X does support HDMI variable refresh rate, and so does the Vizio TVs, but they only support it between 48 and 60 hertz. That's why you guys are getting you're getting it from 48 to 60 hertz, because the HDMI VRR range on the Vizio is between 48 and 60 hertz, and the only thing Vizio has to do is increase the range of the VRR with the HDMI VRR to get that fixed. Then they got to fix the ghosting and all of that, when the only thing Sony has to do is do the same thing that all these other TV companies have done, is add FreeSync support. So that's my thoughts on Sony, man. Sony got to get it together, G. It ain't got nothing to do with Vizio. It's a Sony thing. And for my other G in the comment section that was asking me, you know, why these other guys aren't talking about this, you know, you told me, you know, you sent something to FOMO, letting them know that all this stuff works on the Vizio. Look, man, I used to watch FOMO's videos a lot. You know what I'm saying? I don't anymore because I can see what FOMO does over there. It's no hate at all, but FOMO don't care about Vizio, my G. All right? He does not care about Vizio. He's been hating on Vizio ever since he got on YouTube. And it's not a shot at him. It's just facts. All right? So when you sent me that comment telling me to go to FOMO's video, that you had sent him a comment about all this stuff working, man, he knows it works. All right? They all know it worked. See this right here, man? And like I said, man, this ain't no call out. You know, I just keep it a buck, man. If people can't handle the truth, then they just need to get off of YouTube. But my man said, hey, VTC, if you go back to the FOMO video with Brian, I commented about the PQX H1, how ready it really is, and even saying that I wish he would review it. There's definitely an undue stigma attached to Vizio, and I don't get it. At some point, this TV is gonna hit like a damn wildfire and be hard as fuck to find and get expensive as hell. Anyway, bro, have a good one. All right. These are people that have the TV, know that all of this stuff works, are watching the same videos that I'm watching. The only difference is they're not on YouTube. All right. So when he sent this to me, I went to the video that he was talking about, right? I saw his comment, which is right here. All right. Same live stream, guys. The one that I put in this video. He actually commented on the video. He said, that really sucks for the 900H crew. I really wish you would give a Vizio PQX H1 a review, FOMO. It may not be considered upper echelon, I get it, but it is a very good option. 4K 120 FPS VRR Dolby Vision, right? 4K 60, but still Dolby Vision gaming on the Series X. And FreeSync Premium. And he put a heart on the comment. He put a heart on the comment, G, but this is what you need to understand, guys. I mean, look, read my comment too, bro. I'm having the same experience too with my Vizio. If people gave them a chance, they'd be blown away. Facts. All right. Does it have resolution at 4K 120 hertz? No, that's everybody else. But you know why they ain't gonna talk about it? You know why they ain't gonna talk about it? You know why FOMO ain't gonna talk about it? But he's been the biggest hater of Vizio, guys, on YouTube, man. I could do a whole video on it, but I'm not gonna give him that much. It don't matter at this point, man. Let that man do what he does. You know what I mean? Let him do what he does. All right. I used to watch his videos when they were more informational. Now he's stepped into that other realm where he's, you know, it don't matter, man. It does not matter at the end of the day. This video is not about that. I'm just letting you know, guys. Don't go to no FOMO about no Vizio TVs. All right. KG did an LG. He got an LG endorsement. All right. He got an LG endorsement, guys. And when he got that endorsement video, right, and people was giving him flack about it, saying, man, you done sold out or whatever, man. I don't hate nobody that goes on YouTube and makes their money, man. Get your money. That's a lane. That's a lane. All right. The things that FOMO's doing, that's a lane. So I'm not hating on him. You just got to understand these YouTubers when you're watching them and what lane they're in. All right, I'm not in that lane. None of that means nothing to me, guys. That's why I say what I want. I do what I want on this channel, and I'm just gonna keep it a buck and give it to you 100, right? But when KG made this long little thing about, you know, I got my endorsement, man. I'm really trying to be an honest YouTuber, this, that, and the third. It shouldn't take away from this, that, and the third. Look, man. You ain't got to make it. Look, dude, if you out there, you getting endorsements, get those endorsements, man. You know what I mean? Don't worry about what people are thinking about you. If you're trying to grow your channel in a certain direction, that is a lane. All right? It's a lane. So if that's the lane you want to be in it. You don't got to apologize for getting endorsements. But FOMO said, haters are envious that you can begin to make a living on YouTube. Congratulations on your business opportunity. I'm just glad you're not partnering with Vizio. All right. I'm just glad you're not partnering with Vizio. All right. See this 6 months ago? You go back to this 6 months ago. 6 months ago, around the same time. So, you know, I'm saying this to say this, man. When y'all send me comments, y'all are asking me, you know, why don't you try to, I mean, it's not just you, my G. I got comments y'all don't even get to see. But when y'all asking me why I don't link up with these other YouTubers or why I don't try to get in live streaming and doing this and talking to this and linking up with this person, linking up with that person, dude, we in different lanes, man. And the conversation that I'm having with y'all are conversations that they don't want to have. These are conversations that they do not want to have. All right. And everybody, if they got this TV, right? If they got this TV, they would have to walk back everything they said about Vizio. All right. Everything they said about Vizio, dude. I showed you guys on video, my M series 2019, right? 2019 with Dolby Vision gaming, right? Dolby Vision gaming with a game mode. Low latency Dolby Vision gaming on a TV that I bought in 2019 for $500.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the channel, Tech with KG. Today we're going to talk about Dolby Vision in gaming and my results of testing it, and I want to specify a few things offhand. Now, these TVs, right away, you're going to notice that they don't have a game mode for Dolby Vision. The only one that has a Dolby Vision game mode, to my knowledge, that is working correctly is LG. The first thing you will notice right away when you are testing on one of these TVs that isn't an LG OLED, you're going to see that, well, there's a problem because the input lag is unplayable. In my opinion, it is so unplayable. The input lag is way too high to be playing these games in Dolby Vision.
What up, gang? Shout out to Tech with KG for keeping it funky about his A90J being unplayable in Dolby Vision because those Sonys do not have a game mode for Dolby Vision. Alright, this is just going to be a quick little video, quick update video for my Vizio M Series Quantum of 2019. The M8 owners out there, this is just going to be a quick little update video for you guys, as this is my 2019 Vizio M Series Quantum from 2 years ago. I still have this TV. I've had it for 2 years with no issues. All right, I'm just going to go into the system information. Let's go down here, and I just want you guys to see that we are in fact, right, on my Vizio M558-G1. All right, this is my M Series Quantum from 2019. The firmware version is 6.0.109.4-3. All right, we're gonna hop out of that, and we are going to go into the picture settings. And as you can see here, we are gaming in Dolby Vision, and we have a game mode. All right, we have a game mode on a TV that came out 2 years ago. All right, when I bought this TV, it was a beast, and it just gets more beastly, as this TV, you can game in Dolby Vision and game low latency is on. All right, game low latency is on. So if you have the 2019 Vizio M Series Quantum, you can in fact game in Dolby Vision in your game mode. Now, if y'all haven't played Dirt 5, you really got to get used to the steering. The tracks are very slippery, but as you can see, I'm holding it in the road with no problems. So you got TVs out there that cost thousands of dollars. All right, these new Sonys, they cost thousands of dollars, and they're incapable of doing what a TV from 2 years ago is doing with no problem.
Agreed. That makes sense, Classy. Like, that actually makes sense.
Yeah.
That's another thing I want to talk about too.
Okay, yeah, good point. This is something I forgot. This is what we talked about as well, as Sony could not do Dolby Vision in game mode. So in regular color mode, of course it's better, but then that raises the question, wait a minute, when you're playing in game mode, what are you reducing that you're getting color banding in order to get that fast latency? Is this applicable to all TVs? Mm-hmm. Do you guys see this on the C1, where if you're in movie mode, there's less banding, but you go to game mode, there's more banding?
Yes.
Or is it only the, yes, right? Okay,
yes.
so
yeah.
there you go.
No,
there's a compromise, right? Mm-hmm. There is a compromise. Yeah.
Game mode, like the smooth gradation feature in the does not work on the C1. It doesn't work at all in game mode. So there's that. And then on the flip side of that, what I wanted to talk about, and this is like something that it goes back to the Dolby Vision thing, is the only game mode currently right now that's working in the US is gonna be LG
Cap
for Dolby Vision game mode, and the rest of it is latency. Like, and I'm not talking like, oh, it's just like 30 milliseconds. Fine, it's playable. It's like 130, 150 milliseconds. Like TCL, the 6 series I'm testing right now, Dolby Vision, try the gaming on that? No, it doesn't work. It's 150 milliseconds.
Even though they say it's quote unquote
I saw
game
that,
mode, right?
and that made me mad.
not-
Yeah, I
see,
saw that.
At least
that was
Sony's
like,
honest. This is not game mode, dude, right?
This is so misleading because, like, and I like TCL, but that I don't think like they know what that they're doing there.
It's not a
very
gaming
misleading
TV.
because I saw that post. It was like about Call of Duty Vanguard and Dolby Vision, and that game's not even announced to be in Dolby Vision. Like, I don't know where they're getting that from. So it's all just a weird message, is what I'm saying. It's misleading. It doesn't feel right. Like, I think that people are going to get confused by this, and they're going to end up trying it out and playing it and just get wrecked in Call of Duty and just be like, my TV sucks. But it's not your TV.
Like,
it's
the
just
trigger.
that it's in the wrong mode, you know? It's so bad.
or
The
you
latency
cannot-
is so bad.
You cannot get it in the right mode if you elect Dolby Vision, and that
And
takes
that's
us
the
to the
thing.
LG brand. If
Right,
you're a
and-
gamer, just go LG and call it a day.
So ALLM, auto low latency mode, very misleading as well. Like, you would think that Dolby Vision auto low latency mode, it would detect, hey, I'm in game mode. Hey, I'm in Dolby Vision, kind of match that together. But it seems like the companies didn't really figure that out yet. And it seems like LG's the only one doing it. So there's this rumor Vizio's got it. But I can confirm to you, like, the Vizio low latency is not working. Look on the forums, look on Reddit. It's all over the place.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man? Hey, who mess is this?
So
And remember, one man's low latency is another man's high latency. I
that's
mean,
true.
Do
Yeah.
we define low latency? Right? At
Okay.
least HDR has
There's some
low
people that
latency
play
mode, right?
movie mode, game mode. I don't know how they do it. Like 100 milliseconds. Imagine that. Like, imagine 100 milliseconds on your response time. It sucks. Like, you can't play games that way.
Nope.
I'm sorry. You just can't do it.
Bro, this shit unbelievable, man. This shit is unbelievable. Because I guarantee you, if this was any other TV brand, anybody else, all right, with fully functioning local dimming, variable refresh rate, Dolby Vision gaming, everybody and their grandma be talking about it on YouTube. Now, I've been gaming in Dolby Vision since Dolby Vision was in beta. All right, you see this 11 months ago? Look, 11 months ago, I even did a video showing people how to unlock it on the Xbox Series X. All right, Dolby Vision gaming, Dolby Vision gaming, Dolby Vision gaming, Dolby Vision gaming. All right, these are online matches, online Madden matches, and I was catching bodies. All right, I had people rage quitting. How do you do that with 133 milliseconds of input lag? Right? Riddle me that. Let me blow this up, man. Then we're going to end this video, man. We're going to blow it up real quick. Check this out. Let's go back to about right here, man. So I was catching bodies, man. Look at this. Falcons, Bird Gang. ATL, ho. Got him. Got him. Dolby Vision Gaming. Come on, man. 130 seconds. Come on, bruh. Ain't no milliseconds of input lag over here, man. Riddle me this. How do we do this? Look at that kick. Ooh, what's that say? What's that say? 100 milliseconds of input lag? Check it out. Check it out. Since beta. If it was any other TV brand, people would be talking about it. Because it's a Vizio, nobody's talking about it. Accurate kick. How do you do that with 100 milliseconds? This kick will be way off. Straight down the middle. Straight down the middle. All right, check this out. I was catching straight bodies. Look, 2114. 2114. He gonna rage quit. He gonna rage quit. Oh, that's a pick. Game over. Game over. How do we do that with 100 milliseconds in Dolby Vision? Done. I did 2 games on here. Let me just skip straight to the end, guys. I'm going to skip straight to the end. What was that? That was a pick. Look at the score. 21-7. 21-7. Rage quit. Dolby Vision Gaming. Hold up. It gets better. It gets better, guys. Hold up. You see this game right here? I'm going to skip straight to the end. In Dolby Vision. Check it out. Boom. What's that? Game over. Got him. Rage quit. But hold on. In case you missed it. In case you missed it. In case you missed it. Check it out. Last play of the game. What's that? Perfect timing. Ooh, sir. Perfect timing user pick in Dolby Vision Gaming. Vizio PQX Madden 21 Dolby Vision gameplay Xbox Series X. How do I pull off a perfect timing user pick with 100 milliseconds of input lag? Answer me that, G. Right? And y'all wonder why I don't fuck with everybody on YouTube, man. There ain't no way in hell this TV does all of this. The only LCD with Dolby Vision Gaming. The only LCD with a fully functioning, no compromise, local dimming and variable refresh rates. Fully future-proofed. And ain't nobody talking about it but me. And that's why I'm worried about these haters, man. You know, let them hate. This shit funny to me, G. You know what I'm saying? I make these videos for y'all. I don't make these videos for them. I make these videos for y'all. This is the TV I'm rocking with. This is the TV y'all rocking with. That's why y'all watching my videos. Because we keeping ourselves informed about what we got. We ain't worried about what they got. Because what they got ain't doing what we got. So we straight over here, G. And that's why I'm more confident that Vizio will get this fixed before Sony will. That's why I ain't worried about it. Vizio will fix this before Sony will fix this. All right? So let them hate. As long as they keep hating, we'll continue to get the best tech for less. Till the next video.
We're sitting in front of here the X95K, which is Sony's flagship 4K HDR LCD TV, for lack of a better way of describing it. It is not the first choice for gamers. It is the first choice for video quality, including gaming, but it is not the gamer's first choice. We just learned that when you game and you have the variable refresh rate, that you're going to lose the benefits of all the HDR tone mapping.
This past week, Sony finally released the update for PlayStation 5 enabling variable refresh rate support. We've spent the last few days testing it, playing around with the different options, and have come to some conclusions as to what is actually possible on PS5, how it stacks up against the competition, and how different games play with those settings. Alright, so basically what Sony's done here is they've implemented VRR in a very standard way, if you will. It's essentially the HDMI Forms VRR specification, but they have not gone the extra mile to implement any additional features, which we will discuss here, which means that you essentially have 2 modes of operation. When you're outputting 60 Hz via the PS5, you have a range of 60 frames per second down to 48 frames per second. If you're outputting 120 Hz, the ceiling becomes 120, but the floor remains 48. And fundamentally, that is the big issue with this implementation, I feel. There is no low frame rate compensation below 48 frames per second. So the second you hit that sort of floor, your display basically kicks back into a non-VRR mode. Not actually switching modes, but you lose the benefits of VRR, right?
Yeah, essentially that would mean that when you go below 48 FPS, if the game is using a standard triple buffered VSync, you'll see the normal judder you would see like when panning the camera or with animations. Okay. We're going to talk about this game. There's probably going to be more videos on it in the future. Elden Ring. It's bad on every platform, excluding playing it in backwards compatibility, basically on PlayStation 5 using PlayStation 4 Pro version, or if you really are okay with VRR, you've been playing the Xbox Series X version, I know that. Does this fix the issues on PlayStation 5? Oh, no.
Sort of. Sort of. Okay. This game. So essentially, the frame rate is so variable in this, right? And on Xbox, on Xbox, as long as you're in 120 hertz mode, I believe it can handle essentially any frame rate you throw at it and properly display it within the VRR. But if you're outputting 60 hertz on the Xbox, which you would do to achieve slightly less persistence blur, by the way, then the lower limit is actually 40 as opposed to 48 on PlayStation 5. And Elden Ring can drop below that. So at 120, Xbox covers the full gamut. It's no problem. On PlayStation 5, however, unfortunately, the performance can also dip below 48 frames per second. And just like the other cases, when that happens, there is no LFC to make up the difference and the stutter returns. In the LCD world, and this is sort of a very widespread problem, but it's variable based on the display. First of all, high-end LCDs rely on something called full array local dimming, where essentially it can adjust the brightness of the backlight via different zones behind the LCD panel. And this is how you achieve basically richer black levels, more competitive with an OLED. Not exactly there, but it definitely makes a dramatic difference. Well, when using VRR, by and large, most displays either disable this entirely. Sony displays are notorious for this, or there's actually just a reduction in the quality of it. And this is something that's very common on Samsung, where you'll see like fewer zones that react. You'll see the zones react much slower. The point is that as a result, when using VRR with LCDs that rely on this sort of backlight, it can actually reduce the overall picture quality, leading to a more washed out image that's less visually attractive. And in fact, this is something that many people that follow us on Twitter have been messaging us about, where they're not familiar with this. They enabled VRR and suddenly their games look worse and they don't know why.
It's too easy. I can do this with my eyes closed. It's too easy. It's too easy. I can do this with my eyes closed. It's too easy. It's too easy. I can do this with my eyes closed. I can do this with my eyes closed.
2 days ago, I was freaking super happy about the PlayStation 5. The very next day, just talking to somebody on Twitter that brought up this issue, I came home. I diligently, for 5 hours, tried to figure out what was going on. And I was like, yeah, man, you're right, dude. I came to the same conclusion. It's just not giving me anything above 60 hertz in the refresh rate for the VRR. And I'm like, wow, dude, this is a... And then I sat back and I thought about it for a minute, because I hadn't played Spider-Man since they put out the patch to let you run at 40 frames a second like they did with Ratchet and Clank. Like, I hadn't played it since then. So I'm getting in there and I'm thinking, yeah, dude, this isn't bad. I mean, this feels pretty smooth. This feels pretty good. And then you get over to the 60 frames a second, and that one feels pretty good too. And I'm like, wow, that's definitely different. I'm like, wow, this actually feels pretty good. And I'm sitting there and I'm playing it and I'm hyping myself up. I'm hyping myself up. The excitement is just pulling me in, and I'm like, whoa, it's amazing that the PlayStation is starting to do this. Like, this is cool. This is what I wanted. And then boom, my hopes, my dreams, everything just crashes down. Just crashes down like it always does with this PlayStation 5 experience for me. And I'm like, seriously, you're right. The other day when it first came out, I went into it with skepticism. Of course, man. Like, I've been let down by the PlayStation 5 plenty of times this generation. Plenty of times already. I'm like, oh gosh, don't want to put... And then right when I start believing in the Sony magic again, boom. My hopes, everything is crushed. And I'm like, my gosh, dude, like, why can't I just get a solid experience? Why does it have to be the stars have to line up exactly right for me to do that? I have to have a specific TV, and I have to have a specific cord, and I have to have specific settings set in there. Why? Why can't it just be like, I'm so used to the Xbox being such a seamless experience that why can't it just work like that? Why can't it just work just like that? Why does it have to be you have to have. I'm not going to go buy another TV for this PlayStation 5. I'm sorry, I'm not going to do that. It's tempting as it is. Yeah, I mean, everybody's saying the LG CX and all these are like the best TVs in the world to have, and I'm thinking, I'm just like, I don't necessarily need the best. I just need it to work. You know what I mean? Like, I paid for that. I put out a message to both PlayStation support and Vizio support. Only one of those guys got back to me. Only one of them got back to me, and you'll never guess who it was. Vizio. They're well aware of the problem. They're working on it diligently to try to find a fix for it. Whether that's just PR market speak or whatever, at least they got back to me. As of right now, PlayStation, let's see. PlayStation, have you gotten back to me yet on this? Sadly, no.
For the record, I'm done trying to make y'all comfortable. For the record, you ain't trying to grow, then it's done for you. For the record, lab on me, going all the way. For the record, ain't trying to link, no time to waste. For the record, for the record, yeah. For the record, yeah. For the record, yeah. For the record, for the record.